Thank you for tuning in to the Show Up to Win podcast with your host, Dwayne Morton. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting edition to Show Up to Win. I'm so glad that we are able to have great guests like my next guest, but sometimes you just have guests and you are curious about them. You also want to learn about them. And then also you just know that these people are coming on here to really impact other people's life. And so this is someone that I've known for just a little bit over a month, but immediately once that we touched each other's life, we've been quick friends, became best friends, I think, in a week. And I think that's really important, is to just know the type of people that I'm bringing on as people that I really want you to get to know, but also you know that whatever services that they might be bringing to the table and information, that you know that it's really good information. And so I dare someone to think about this lady from a dislike situation, because I know it just doesn't exist. She's super likable, she's super lovable, but also she's just brings a different type of energy, and you just know you're around really amazing people. So let me bring her up to the studio. Hey, Louisa.
Hello, Dwayne. Oh my God,
Thank you so much for coming on here.
That was so kind, so warm, and so beautiful, and I 100% agree. It was like an instant connection. So thank you.
Yes, and so I do want to say thank you to our friend. And that's the thing, is sometimes we just have to follow our intuition and just be like, hey, I think you need to talk to this person. And that's what he did. And, and I think that's just super important. But as soon as he did, it was just, I need to text Louisa this. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure I gave you the welcome I felt like you truly deserved. And so I'm glad you approved. And so Louisa, just tell the audience a little about yourself, and let's just kind of go from there.
Again, thank you so much. And I am so grateful to be here. And very huge thank you to Philip, who introduced us, because he and I had one of those instant connections also. One of the things that I think is the magic is truly showing up with our energy, showing up with our heart. I just feel like we live in a world where people are just so afraid to be kind. And I have to say, that was probably the easiest part for me growing up. I kind of felt, as a little girl, I was looking around and I was really curious to how everybody else seemed to know things. And I was not sure what they knew, but I was sure I didn't know it. I was sure life was a lot easier for them than it was for me. I struggled in school. I couldn't figure out how education system worked. And the things that were hard for me, that I would refer to myself as braille reading. I was like, what is happening? Because I didn't know I was dyslexic. I didn't know I had ADD. All I knew is I couldn't figure it out. And so I would braille read, and I would use my senses to feel the energy of a room and to figure out how to do things. But what my initial thought was what's wrong with me, right? Coming to this work and showing up as myself, I got to find out what's right with me. And what I love about the way I experience people is I see what's right with people. You could have gone through the hardest time. You could have been through so much, but I could feel people's heart. I could feel their love. I could feel who they are. And people are so easy to open up to me. So having been the girl who struggled, I somehow still found a way to say yes when I got asked to co-author 13 books. And here's what I thought. Okay, Think and Grow Rich. It is the biggest historical book ever. So there's 33 authors. There's me. They asked me to participate. They asked me to write a chapter in each book. Okay, and then I thought there's editors for the part, I have stories, and there's editors to clean up my writing. Am I really going to miss an opportunity to say yes to collaborating with amazing other authors? Each book had an amazing author within each one. I had an opportunity to meet. I wasn't going to say no. So I said yes. And through that, I got to meet really remarkable people, which is where I met Philip, and then I meet you, right? And I'm like, had I said no, I wouldn't be here. And so sometimes I'm like, it's okay, really, to not know what you're doing and say yes anyways, because you'll figure it out along the way. And so I got to co-write 13 books. I got to, through that series, meet remarkable people, start my own podcast. I got to be in a room where I was watching hypnosis happen, and I thought, oh my God, I could see their subconscious programming. I could see what they're thinking and feeling. If someone can access that for me, then I get to get on that stage, because that's what I felt in my body. I was like, ooh, I want to not just be a speaker, I want to be a global speaker. I didn't have little dreams. I was like, I want to speak on a stage. So then I'm like, all of a sudden, I signed up for hypnotherapy school. So I got certified to be a hypnotherapist. So all those things opened up because I said yes. And that's why I love that you were like, I'll get to know this girl, I'll call her. Because people don't just do that. So thank you.
I think it's just following your intuition. I think a lot of people miss that part. I think that I wish that they would teach that in public school. It's just like, what does your gut say? Follow your gut, because your gut isn't wrong.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of what has guided me throughout these whole process, all these processes, from me going playing basketball overseas to me with the medical community to all these different things with charities and just networking in general. But also, Louisa, there's a really powerful story that got you to that part, and then that's just one of the reasons I wanted to have you on a spotlight, is that resilience story from, where you got the numbers and mixed up, and then, because I think that's super important, because what people don't realize, Louisa, is that that was your passport, that pain to that passport that gave you access to this other power of yourself. And so can you share that with the listeners and share that story, please?
I would love to. And you know what's funny about this story is I actually didn't share it ever for a very, very, very long time, because it was what's wrong with me story, right? And I was able to switch it. So what was wrong with me is I didn't feel okay. And so I took my parents' insurance card, and being that I'm dyslexic, I misread the numbers to call. And I was looking for a therapist, and I was pretty sure I was going to explain to them how crazy my parents were, and I needed someone to hear me and help advocate for me with my parents. I'm being a foreigner, right? Like, they came into this world, they don't speak the language, you have no idea what they're doing, and they're raising 2 kids, and I'm feeling like I need to have support. So I call this number, and it's right by my parents' house. I'm like, this is a great therapy session. My parents did not think I needed therapy. It's down the street from them, so it's convenient. I figured this out. And I get in, and my parents are there, and I called an inpatient center. And within that appointment, I didn't go home. My parents went home to grab my clothes, and I got admitted to an inpatient clinic. So for 30 days, I had a slumber party that ended up costing $70,000. And it was my $70,000 slumber party. But I got to meet life. It was my very first time where I saw real pain. I saw kids hurting. And my pain seemed like I was actually more there to help them. I truly experienced feeling like I couldn't wait to graduate and come back and work in there. The counselors were turning to me because the kids were telling me, it didn't occur to me I was one of the kids. The kids were telling me what was going on, and I was turning to the counselors and explaining what needed to be done, and I was the liaison to support. And then it was extra cool because another thing I had no idea could be fun. It was only on TV. They put you in vans and they take you to AA meetings and NA meetings. And I'm now with grown-ups. By the way, I did turn 17 in this center. I have my journal from that time. And so I turned 17 in the inpatient center. And I'm now in a van going to Venice Beach. And I'm going to an AA meeting. And I'm realizing if I don't get my life right, this is my future. And if I don't get it together, pain is going to continue. And so I went into these meetings and I listened to the 12 steps. I heard all of it, and it became the serenity prayer is my lifeline. If anything's going on, like I hadn't been in those rooms in 30 years, but I hear the serenity prayer in my head all the time. It saved my life, this program.
So let me ask a question, because I think so because you were felt like you wanted to be a therapist, and then you got like the ultimate part of therapy, the 30-day version of it. Can you describe the 24 hours like before? So if like we took Louisa back before you made a phone call, what was so bad? And I'm saying like from the instance of like, oh, like I didn't mean to do this, but like you getting this huge life lesson. But I'm just curious like what you were feeling probably at 24 hours before. There was some
What a great
situation that you
question.
just knew of. Yeah.
It really wasn't, and funny enough, it was when I learned how to type at school. So I actually have a typewritten letter my mom just found that I had given to my father for Father's Day. And it said, I know you think we don't need family. I mean, we don't need therapy, but our family needs therapy. And what was going on was and of course, like now as an adult, I see it differently. But at that time, I was a kid, and I didn't have as compassion for my parents. Didn't speak English. My parents are working 24/7 in order to raise two girls, put us in private school with minimum wage money, and having no idea of how to live in this world. But they're doing the very best they can. But they're turning to me to take care of myself and parent my sister. And so I believed that was my job. So in the way I was growing up was I was my sister's mother. I was responsible for her, and I was responsible for myself. And I had no idea what I was doing. And so I would sneak out of my house, go down the street. And this was at the time where we used to sell, you were younger. We used to sell chocolate at the school, right?
Yeah.
And go door to door, and everybody would get credit for selling chocolate. Well, I thought it was actually, like now looking back, it was the greatest thing we could have done growing up. You teach children how to knock on doors, how to speak to people, how to build relationships. So from selling chocolate, I knew all my neighbors. There was a sweet little lady down the street. I had gotten very close with Lonia, and Lonia would always take me in, and she would listen to me, and she would like kind of help give me what I thought my parents should have given me. But I didn't know at the time any of this other than I was also surviving. So I'm like, someone please explain to my parents what they're supposed to do in raising. Like, I didn't feel safe because I didn't think that they knew what they were doing. I consistently was looking for safety and structure, and I had none of that. I was the one figuring it out.
Right. So do you think that was probably from seeing other people's parents, from the school and that type of thing? Is like you got that stimuli from somewhere else, and you're like, or you maybe even TV, and you're like, well, parents are supposed to do this, 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 and then when you felt like you didn't have it, then you were like, we need therapy. And so I think that could possibly be it. But I think the wonderful part of it is the compassion now that you have by you telling the story and how you tell it shows just a level of maturity. But I mean, you're also an adult too, and that was the other aspect. But I wanted to kind of get a perspective of what you felt like maybe then. And so let's go back to you getting out of this facility. What was the first thing that you did? Like, I'm sure you had a bigger grasp in life of what life truly was.
Absolutely. I love that. So one of the things how I knew that something was wrong is I started babysitting at 12 years old. And so when I go to people's houses and they had an emergency list, I was like, oh, these parents have a plan. So my parents didn't have a plan. My parents did not have an emergency list or how things were supposed to go. So that's where I compared it. So then I get out of this center. By the way, there was school in the center, and it was a lot easier. And there was this sense of community. There was a story that in the center that happened that changed my life. I met a girl. Her name is Melissa, 17 years old, the light of the party. I mean, she was smart, delightful, fun, everything you could dream a human being could be, except for she couldn't feel it. She could not feel happy. She couldn't receive joy. Even though it was external, it was all happening around her, she couldn't absorb it. When we got out, she overdosed and died. And I never forgot her. Never, like to this day, I still think about her almost every day. And I think about how many of us are so loved, and if we don't let it in, it doesn't matter that we're loved. It doesn't matter the whole world is fighting for us, right? I still remember her parents visiting her. I remember her siblings. I remember their pain. I remember them loving her so much, and she couldn't feel it. And I knew there was the only other thing was to cause everyone who loved me that type of pain, because she was so loved. And I was like, what if I am lovable? I didn't see it about me either, but what if? Because I sure loved her. And I just was like, we lost her, and what if I get to live the space and have what happened with her be the why I make it?
I can just see that like passion to be able to let that be like such a lesson for you, and also be an inspiration, because yeah, I mean it I think so many people get motivation and inspiration like mixed up so much, but that inspiration part, that's when that just lights and fire inside. And so um just hearing you share that story, I mean, I was starting to get teary eyed too. So
Yeah.
you know, the the funny thing is, Louisa, we just never know about who that person is to build that foundation. And the
Right.
other part is it built an amazing foundation of gratitude for you, but also it
Absolutely.
built a stepping stone of purpose. And so, I asked about like the next day, and so what was the next day? And then let's get into the step with hair, and then you really going into like being able to help people,
Yeah.
because I really feel like those are the stories that like other people can really grasp and like really learn from you. And so I'll let you just go ahead and take it from there. I feel like those are the things that like the listeners are just going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I'm glad he brought, Louisa on for that.
Thank you. Yeah. So going to the meetings, going to 12-step meetings, and then hearing from people about and showing up, hearing from people what they were experiencing, building connections. One of the things that I knew when I was growing up was I happened to be really talented in doing hair. Like wherever I went, people would just say, Luis is really great at doing hair. So my subconscious is listening. And I'm like, I must be really good at doing hair. And so I wanted to go to beauty school, and my dad said no. And I could have gone to beauty school while I was in high school and gotten credit for it and had it be for free. But I wasn't allowed to, because I was supposed to like grow up to be something smart. And according to culture, that wasn't it. And so I had babysat, and I had $11,000 from babysitting money, and I put myself through beauty school. And I finally was like, well, if I can clean up how I look, and I could clean up the outside. And of course, at that age, I don't have the conscious like awareness of this. I'm just trying to fit in. And if I could just look like I fit in, everything will be okay. So I pay my $11,000. I go to Newberry's beauty school. And then I have this thought that says, well, I'm still kind of cheating, because Vidal Sassoon is 20,000 and I only have 11. Vidal Sassoon is an hour away, and if you don't make it on time, they're going to throw you out. And I chose the one I knew I could actually complete. So there's this part in my brain, the subconscious, that was like, you're not working hard enough. So I graduated and I worked so hard. And within 2 years, by the way, when I was in school, my teacher said to me, Louisa, you're never going to make it in this industry. So I'm like, really? So 2 years later, I'm doing the publisher's hair of On the Boulevard magazine, and he's writing about me in the articles every month. And I take it back to the school and I'm like, hey, I think this is my name in here. And so she's now showing me off to her class saying, oh, look at who graduates from this school. And so I got a little bit of satisfaction in that, but in the back of my mind, I still had not gone to Vidal so soon. So I worked 28 years working so hard to prove that I was amazing. And I did amazing work. I've got a zillion clients. I do very well. There's this still small voice inside of me that was like, yeah, but, right? So then fast forward, recently I go to a class and there's Tracy Cunningham, who is all of the stars' hairdresser. She does like every star. If they have been on a thing, she's their hairdresser. And she went to not the best beauty school either. But guess what? It didn't stop her from becoming life itself. And so I was like, wow. The only difference between her and I is she didn't let it stop her. It absolutely played a role in my life. So then I was like, I want to go to hypnotherapy school because I want to work on my subconscious. Along the way, I was figuring out, I wasn't just doing hair. I was actually like, my favorite part of doing hair was like the captive audience in my chair. It was pouring love into each person and watching them transform their life. It really wasn't about the hair. So I was just like, you're just stuck in my chair and I'm going to play. And what I really loved was all of a sudden I get introduced to hypnotherapy. And my girlfriend said, I went to this school and it costs this much and it's 6 months and it's once a week. And I'm like, and it was a lot. I come into the salon and I'm like, guess what? And I said it to my client. And he goes, what? And I said, I'm going to go to hypnotherapy school. And he said, you should call George. He lives down the street from here. He owns HMI. It's the first hypnotherapy school, accredited hypnotherapy school. And I'd been living down the street from it forever and didn't even think about it. Guess who went there? Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza graduated from that hypnotherapy school. So I'm like, well, guess what? I don't even have an excuse to why I don't think I'm great. This is the Vidal Sassoon of hypnotherapy. So now all of my, ooh, I'm not good enough gets to go away. And I go to the best school. Fast forward, just 2 weeks ago, I get a call from this lady. She says, I don't know where I have your information, but it looks like you graduated from HMI and the teacher that used to be our hypnotherapist retired. Would you like to come work with us? Yes. So I have a job doing exactly what I said. I can't wait to graduate and come back and work in these places. That's what I'm doing.
That's incredible. And it also, all these things are for full circle moments, because it's like with the cosmetology school, you wanted to get into it out so soon and you didn't, but then you find out that that person still was able to do the same thing that you were able to do and didn't do the same school. But the same thing is like now as you're older, you graduated from one that has one of the greatest people in the world, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And yeah, and now you're teaching there. I'm excited for you. Like, so for all the listeners and stuff, they're just probably their jaw just dropped of like this full circle moment. But being able to know like all these things that are meant for you, they don't fall off. Like they're going to eventually catch up to you. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, it really does. And one of the things that it was like, I get very, very careful what I say, because if I say it, it's going to happen. But if it's going to come out of my mouth, I have to be very careful, because if I say it, I'm going to have it happen. And when I got out of the center and I was going to these meetings, I met a girl. She happened to live in Florida. And I was like, I went to go visit her. I was 18 years old. I'm like, oh, I want to live in Florida. My parents were like, you are not living in Florida. Well, guess what? I get married, I have 2 kids, and we get relocated to Florida. So I spent 4 years in Florida.
Yeah, and you realize that maybe you you got to do it. That's the other part. But that's the thing about manifestation. If you take it from just a video game aspect of just, this is what I'd like, I wonder how that would feel, and you concentrate on that feeling, those things show up. And when they show up, it's just like, is this like some magic thing that I wasn't aware of in the past? But also the other thing is too, Louisa, is we're also have to be good stewards of it too. I think that's the other aspect, is being good stewards. We can't just like say we wanted to win the $1 billion Powerball a couple weeks ago too. So I think that's important.
Absolutely. It's interesting because there's two things that hit home when you say that. One, there's your natural way of being. For me, when I do hair, someone shared with me recently. She said, every time you do my hair, and she's one of those people who's very tuned in. Like if I have something happen, I'm very tuned in. So I have memory in my beingness that says, ooh, anytime this happens, this is what you get out of it. There's like a feeling that I have a imprint, an experience. She's one of those people who's very intuitive. And so she goes, Louisa, I keep asking you to do my hair. And when you do it, I realize I get information that keeps downloading from every time you've touched me. And I was like, well, thank you so much for that feedback. Like, I really appreciate it. And if you notice down the line, when people share with me, that's usually what they share. As soon as I come into encountering them, they have an awakening that things start to unfold for them, and they don't know what happened other than the fact that somehow I was the common denominator to right before that happened. And I notice it because I keep getting the feedback of that. So I am laying there the other day and I'm having this like deep meditation, and I was near a room of people experiencing something, and my subconscious said, you could lay here and experience it all you want. If you don't get up and go show somebody what's coming through, they're not going to know. So I'm like, okay. So I went up and I said, do you mind if I put a sound bowl on your chest and play with it a little bit? They were like, sure, go for it. So then I said, excellent. Now can I play with your hair? He said, sure. So I'm over there playing with his hair, having a grand old time. Just like I had no expectations, right? Just like, go play and see what happens. He sits up and he goes, you know what? We need to do a workshop. We need to have a workshop with this. Because when I was in hypnotherapy school, what I was doing was using my hair clients as my guinea pigs. So every time I would wash their hair, I would guide a session where anything they want to cleanse, they have an experience of washing it down the drain. The shampoo is like cleansing. And then when I do the conditioner, it's a sealing in what they want to bring in, setting an intention. There's this just like wonderful space that gets created just in a shampoo. So I was like, I could dream of this all I want. Unless I get up and show people, they have no idea. And so, yeah, it's just about, you can have the ideas and the insights and all the yumminess come to you, but get up and do something. This much counts.
Right. I love that, the fact that you were able to bring what you had done at the salon and being able to, like you said, use it in the hypnotherapy world, and to give those people that cleanse, but also being able to actually cleanse their hair, but while you're able to do it, so you're cleansing the subconscious while you're doing that. It's a fantastic idea. Like, I'm sure there would be, it's a great business idea for salons. Like, you should probably go look into some franchises there, Louisa. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of hypnotherapists out there that would love to do that for people.
Yeah, it is such a magical space to be, because we learn in school 88% of everything that we do in a day, and maybe more, is our subconscious programming. 12% is our willpower, our analyzing, we're really working only with 12% as an adult, at most. So I'm like, why are we swimming upstream all day? Why are we going backwards? I just like to sprinkle fairy dust and then have life be easier. It doesn't have to be so hard. You know what I say to myself now? Because everything was like, what's wrong with me? Now I'm like, sweet, now I know what's right with me. Let's use all the things that are right with me, and let's take a moment and take a deep breath and just center myself into, I've got this. I'm going to say I swear, because I almost like held myself back from saying I swear, but I'm going to say I swear, because it's true as could be. I could even think that I did something wrong with a client that might be like, I wonder if this is going to turn out. Their positivity, my positivity has it turn out. When someone sits in my chair and before I've even touched them and they're like, I bet you I'm not going to like this. And they don't know I could hear their thoughts. I can hear your thoughts. I know I'm not going to like this. Blah, blah, blah. I could hear it. So I'm swimming upstream the whole time because someone uncomfortable, consciously uncomfortable, not that they're choosing to be uncomfortable, just their unconscious way of being is it's going to suck because they show up to pretty much everything being that way. It's their unintentional way of not realizing that one little shift is going to change their entire life. Just sit in the chair and be like, you know what? If all the times that suck, this is going to be great.
Yes, it's that curious factor too. It's just be curious of like, I'm curious what Louisa is gonna come up with today. Like, and then when you're gonna be surprised, and it's gonna be wonderful. That's the other thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just changing one of those to either curious or even excited, and changing just the positive outcome. So yeah, I mean it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. And as you know, when people who are so negative minded, and for me is I was very, what I felt was realistic. And I felt once I changed that and changed that frequency, and it wasn't a huge change, it was just a small frequency change.
Yeah.
This life has gotten so much more wonderful.
It's that easy though. It's just the words. Change your frequency, right? Just sit in the chair for 30 seconds and go, if all the other times it hasn't worked, let's create the possibility that I could just sit with just clear energy and really count on hoping for the best and just take away any possible negative energy because at least I do my job.
There's so many nuggets that are attached to this podcast. So one of the things is like, what would you like to talk about now as you're like with the hypnotherapy, like teaching, like where do you see that going? Like, so if we fast forward like 3 years, where do you think you are?
You hit it on one of them, a franchise of this building, merging hair and hypnosis. That is like it. People really, really, really starting to come from a place of what's right with me. My ideal, and this is kind of going even bigger, this is going really big, but I truly feel like when people live in communities and they're holding space for each other, and it's not just like a house with a whole bunch of people who live in it. It is a community of people being really close and sharing yoga spaces, sharing hair, loving, gardening and things that they love, playing pool outside, having a pool, barbecuing, community. I would love to experience people and community. Anytime these centers, I feel like when people feel in their little bubble of community, it's not a free for all. There's support in there. So building these communities with their own internal support is what I would love to see happening. I would love to buy acres of land and build communities. So like on top of the franchise, even bigger than that, I would love to create just happy, resourceful communities.
I love that. And I mean, it just shows how loving and caring of people you are, is to want to do some community type project. And so I I just want to say thank you. Like, I'm so happy that you got to come on here and share, and and got to share all these nuggets, but also share like what has just kind of happened for you. And I'm looking forward to hearing so much more about all these wonderful, I'm gonna steal a word that you said, like just yummy type of things that are coming to you and to your life, and to you being able to build that community and build that franchise. And so,
Well, I think it's a we in there. It's the fact that we feel this, the fact that we're aligned in our vision of a um, global transformation, global love. The reason we connect is because your heart is just like full of as much joy, and I could feel your commitment to what you are doing. And you're not just laying home dreaming about it, you're here, you are doing it, and I'm so grateful to be in the space with you sharing, like, my dream gets to come true because of people like you.
Yeah, wow. Like that's so wonderful. And it's just when you're able to find people like me and you and just how we cross paths, like God, the universe, like it just is right. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You know, it's like it's that. But when you get to the right people, there's this magic part that just like, wow, like I've had this idea and 90 people have said no, it's a bad idea, but the 91st they're like, oh, it's a great idea, let's go, let's move forward. And like that's also the other part is like when we find the right people we're aligned with, this is just a magical, wonderful video game. And so I'm so glad and so thankful to be able to meet you and just our friendship where it's at now. I can't imagine where it's going to be in 6 months from now, 3 years and 5 years. Like it's just going to be amazing. And
It
so
is.
you were one of the people that I wanted to, I circled of like, hey, get on here. So I was thanks for coming on here and sharing so much of your story with these people and giving them so much great knowledge.
Thank you. It is such an honor. And, you know, there's so many things we're really just comfortable doing and happy doing. If we just stick to those, there were so many times where I thought I was supposed to be doing something somebody else was better at, right? Like, I happen to love this space. And so when you said, would you like to be on? I was like, yes. Do the things that have you go, yes.
Yes. And excitingly say yes.
Yeah,
That's the other thing is when it just like makes you so excited that you just like, you're smiling, but you're also as you're typing in yes, you're just like, oh, I can't believe like those type of emotions because it's energy and emotion. That's the other part. Emotion is just energy and motion, and so
exactly. I can't believe, by the way, you said the sentence of you can't say the right thing to the wrong person and the wrong thing to the right person. I used to say exactly that with dating. You can't make the wrong person right and the right person wrong. I was like, he said exactly what I say. That I just love when that happens, but it's true. It's true.
such a great synchronicity. But also it's when you're in that right type of group and right type of frame of mind to be able to say the same things and be able to really understand of like when I said that you were like, oh, I used to say it all the time. But and so those things I think are just the important. And this is also the great reminder of like how amazing of people we are. Like when we are able to get those like confirmations.
Absolutely. And like also, there's this universal consciousness, right? Like if you thought it and I thought it, it means there's this synchronicity of thoughts. And it it does confirm and let you know, I'm onto something here. And I love feedback. I love these conversations because as I was sharing with you earlier, when people share and I'm listening to these huge people, right? And they'll say what they do and then I'm here thinking, I think like that too. I've done that too. I also babysat at 12. I also was an entrepreneur. Speaking of, I have never filled out a one of those W-2 things where you get a paycheck. And I just did one for the first time at almost 50 years old. In a couple of weeks, I'll be 50. And I filled out my first thing to get I have a real job for the first time in my life with a paycheck. And I'm like, how interesting. I had no idea how to fill one of these things out.
Right. But the great thing about that is it's you're taking this job, but you have that entrepreneurial mindset too.
Completely.
That's the other part. Like
Yeah,
it's a different switch when you're taking a position with an entrepreneurial mindset and not just well, this is something I'm
absolutely.
stuck doing.
There's never a time in my brain has no boxes. I have zero capacity of a box or being like what people think a job is. I still don't understand that.
Well,
So
I'm so
it's all
happy
freedom.
that you're having all these wonderful things happen to you. So I know we're about to run out of time. So, and I know you have some things you got to get done. Again, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the listeners. Listeners are so amazing. I'm so grateful for them. Please let me know how you feel about this podcast with Louisa. Be able to reach out. I will put some of her information so you can reach out to her and keep in touch. And if you're looking to hypnosis, like I absolutely, 100%, like especially the teaching aspect, I can, definitely. What was it? The
The
hypnosis
hypnosis.
school,
Yeah. Oh,
hypnosis
HMI. HMI.
HMI. So for if you're looking for a school, I would definitely go for HMI, and where she would be able to teach you. And so I always tell people all the time, like I just don't want you to just show up. I want you to show up to win, and really show up with that intention and show up with that presence. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.